It's Friday, y'all. Let's do it. All right. Listen, same thing. You know what's going on. Big things. So, project is due Sunday at 10. Google questions just going to be, same thing. Last day for the project. It's going to be due Sunday. If you need the time, I'm anticipating most people will finish it today. So specifically, the new things are 20 through 21, and then number 23 is the very end of the project. So we'll walk through those as we did before. The Google question will be, do you have any final questions for the project, or have you finished the game? Remember that we have, again, I'll chat this out or send this out an email Sunday night reminding everyone. But I do want to meet now that this project's done before the end of the marking period, which is like next Thursday, I think. I know it's next Thursday. Cool. So I think we're gonna, so let's, 1 second here. Let's jump back here. I don't think, like before, I don't think I want to read this in the voices anymore, because that was kind of annoying. What was that?
Alexis,
Yes, Michael?
we're gonna take this over now.
Okay, let's do it and read it.
That'll show him for not reading up the dialogue.
Yeah, you said it, boss.
Anyway, okay, now I think it's... Okay, now let's think about our if statement in check correct and how to update the score properly. How do you want scoring to work?
I think I want to make it so that if you guess correctly, you get 1 point, but if you get it wrong, you lose 3 points.
Okay, cool.
It's a really bad idea, but sure, let's do it for this project. To do that, though, we need to know which player's score to update. Right. To update the score, we actually need to know two things: if the correct button was pressed or not, and if player's score, which player's score we need to update. So we need to know if the correct button was pressed, which, reminder, last time we've been working on a check correct function to do just that, and which player's score we need to update. Which that's what we did last time, was to control the current player. So that it's all coming together in the end. Well, first of all, it sounds like we need new global variables to keep track of each player's score. Right. Let's make a note of that. Add new global variables on top. Easy peasy. This is your bread and butter global variable, something to keep track of score. And to know which player's score to update, we can just nest some if statements inside our current one. Let me hack it out. Let me hack out some pseudocode. That's just a coding joke for you all out there. Don't mind the pun. All right, so, oh boy, look at this. So, in the case that the correct button is clicked, check, and we're going to see if it's player 1, add 1 to player 1 score, else add 1 to player 2 score. Pretty simple, right? If player 1 is the current player 1 gets the point. Otherwise, player 2 gets the point. And then in the other case, where the correct button is not pressed, if player 1 is the current player, we're going to subtract 3 because they got it wrong from player 1. Otherwise, we're going to subtract 3 from player 2. If you want to do different numbers in these, you can do that for your project. Ugh. Just writing that down felt like a lot. Yeah, I was thinking we could use a series of compound conditionals. Expressions like this. Oh, so we're not actually doing this one. But this is just the logic behind it. Well, look at these. This is a nightmare. Look at this. Ugh. Blah, blah. Not much better. I just thought of a third option, and don't hate me for suggesting this. But we can make another function called something like update score by amount to add. This is the one we're actually doing. And this function's whole job is to figure out whose turn it is and to add the amount given in the parameter to the correct player's score. Interesting. But what if we need to subtract from the score? Do we need a new function? Actually, no, silly. We can just give a negative number to the parameter if we want to subtract. If we add -3 to the score, that's the same as subtracting. Oh, that's clever. Will it save us code? Let me sketch it out. So this is what we're actually doing. So in the case that, so this is our check correct, and this is what we're going to add. We're going to add this new thing, update score by, as a new function for like actually giving points. So if they get it, if it is the correct button, we're going to update the score by 1. And then in that score function, we're going to check to see if it's the player 1 or player 2. It's basically this, honestly, but just a little bit, I guess, easier to see. It is easier. I mean, they have the function over here. So in fact, yeah. So this is the stuff that we're adding today. So the total amount of code is about the same as the if statements, but I think this is so much easier to read. I agree. Look how clean and easy to read check correct is this way. So you convinced me. We need to add another function. I'm sensing a pattern. Yeah, we need to do the same kind of thing we did before. Add global variables. Add new function. Call that function. See, that's the same kind of thing. We talked about that last time briefly. Like, this is the normal pattern. Add any variables you need. Create a new function. Call the function. That's basically what we had to do last time. Yep, let's do it again for this new problem. Let's get coding! Continue, please. All right, back in action. Wow, that can hurt my neck. All right, so what we got here. This is the basic idea to start with that we want. So the idea, let's look at this piece by piece, right? Add a new global variable on top. Don't look at my code. As I say in every video, it's wrong on purpose. I don't want you to just copy what I have. This is just examples I've talked through. So we're going to add new variables at the top. Variable for player 1 score, variable for player 2 score. Cool. We're going to make a new function. It's going to be, first we're going to create the definition. And it'll look something like this. When they say something like this, this is what it looks like. It's just not in block form. And then we're going to add calls, update score by 1, update score by -3 to the appropriate place in the if statement. So if you need to see what the appropriate place was, you can look back in the dialog in 19, because it maps out where they think it should be. You can also logically think, where would I want to update the score by 1? When would I want to subtract it by 3? So here are some things you can do to test it. If you have console log statements in there, that can be useful to test, because if you click on different things, it'll activate the console log and something will pop up in the bottom down here. So that's why we use them. So here's just a sample of what it could look like. So at the end of this, you will have created variables, created update score, and called update score. And now this one is just about setting the text. This one's a lot easier. So notice that this tells you where to add the function, where the statement set text to the end of the function that we just created, the function check update score by. And yeah, this is what it should look like when you play it. So notice like the highlighted player is when it's adding. You can check that. And the highlighted player also can lose points and that kind of thing. So This is a nice little read if you want to read it. Okay. The end of an era. Alexis, Michael, have you learned your lesson? You don't fight me, please. Okay. All right, this is fun. Okay, the last thing we need to do is have a way for the game to end. Yeah, I know. What are you thinking? Well, I don't know. I could see a lot of possibilities. I do know that I want there to be a winner, and when the game is over, it switches to a different screen that says game over, and it says who won, like this. Sounds doable. How do you want to determine the winner? I was thinking something simple, just like based on the score. So this stuff, I'm just going to end the dialogue here. You have options for this final part of the project on how you want to win. Like, there, you can make it complicated. You can make it easy. You can, the basic one is just the first to 10 wins. That's what I kind of recommend. If you want to try one of these other ones, like play until the difference of scores is greater than 5, it's not that much harder. But do whatever makes sense for you. If you think the game makes sense to be first to 10, do it. If you think it's easier to do a combined score of 20, if you think it's, if you want to do the first 3 losses, do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But we're going to be doing check game. We're going to be creating check game over, a final function. A lot of functions in this. That's because it's complicated. It's a complicated game. So we're going to be doing inside check correct. We have check game over as a final new function. And that will be another set of if statements. If the condition is true, set screen to game over, and then you'll show the correct label. Yeah, I see. So in check game over, if the game is over, you'll just switch screens right there and set some labels. Otherwise, do nothing. Right, check game over will appear to do nothing most of the time because it's checking the conditions behind the scenes. Right, it's going to check every round to see if you won, but when you actually win, or the game's actually over, it'll activate. But once the end of game condition is hit, the screen will switch. So if you add this function, it's just a matter of choosing your condition. Okay, I think I can handle it from here. Thanks for all your help, Alexis. Don't mention it. It was fun. I'm looking forward to playing your game. Me too. Just need to finish it. Oh my gosh, I think that was the last part of the dialogue. Wow. This is not it's a challenge. This is not, you have to do this. So this is probably the most basic, is creating something that is a game over. This one I'm not going to tell you very much about, because this is going to be the stage that sort of like, I think, determines, the extent of your score. I will put up, I haven't published the rubric for this just because it's, I think, very straightforward going through this. But I will create that something in Google Classroom, like a separate assignment for this. You don't have to actually do anything with that assignment. You can click done when you're done if you want. But that will have it'll have like a rubric in there. But basically, if it works and you've done everything correct, you'll get the 100. If you want to do an optional thing, you can. You don't need to. You don't get bonus points. But, programming's kind of fun. And if you like it, try it out. But yeah, so by the end of this project, you will have a working game where every time you click it, it changes colors. Clicking on the correct one, I can't speak tonight, increases the score. Clicking on the wrong one decreases the score. And you have 2 players, and it should switch. And you shouldn't have any error messages. Some triangles are okay, but you shouldn't have any red at all in your code. If you're having issues with it, come to office hours. The 8th period one I'm always there. First period one, I haven't really done it too much this week, mostly just because, A lot of people don't go to the first period one. But I will try to open it up tomorrow. Like when you watch this. Cool. All right. Yeah, so Monday we have a required Zoom class, or Google Meet now, which is worse than Zoom, but security flaws with Zoom forced the DOE to go off of it. So we required Google Meet on Monday. So we'll talk through the end game of this project a little bit. We'll talk about, just as a class, what's ahead, and we'll transition to reviewing some stuff for a unit test we'll have next week. It'll be shorter than normal. It'll be on Google. It'll be like a Google quiz. It'll be 10 questions instead of 20. Yeah, so that's the general plan. By Sunday at 10 p.m., Color Sleuth game done. If you have questions, send me a chat message. I'm very responsive to those, or go to office hours if you can. Or if you can't, just send me a chat and we'll set up a time to meet. Happy end of the week. Bye, everyone.